So why should people who have demonstrated for 2 weeks say they're fatigued? I'm not fatigued. I've been tortured probably more than the majority of Kenyans right now. I'm not fatigued. Moi tortured me. Uhuru tortured me. And now they are threatening me, asking me, oh, where are you? Where are you? Because they want to arrest me. They want to abduct me. They want to kill me, right? So they want to know. They want me to be declaring where I am so that they can come for me. And I'm not that stupid. So I'm saying, let's not construct roadblocks in our path to liberation. These questions are questions that have been answered. South Africans fought for more than 100 years for liberation. Mandela stayed in jail for 27 years and many others more years. Did they talk about fatigue? Please, let us focus on solidarity, on giving each other inspiration, empowering ourselves, and knowing that risk is part of everything. Even when you are investing, you take your money to the stock exchange. The company can go up in smokes. You can lose all your money, but you still invest. Everything is a risk. Even driving on the road is a risk. You can die. Taking a flight is a risk. The plane can blow up. Nothing happens if we don't take action.
Good evening, Patriot. I send a quick recovery to those hospitalized and recuperating at home, and a message of solidarity for those that are abducted and their families have anxiety over where they are. And I send sincere condolences, and I pray that their souls rest in peace for those that have been killed by this evil regime. My question revolves around land as a factor of production, industrially and agriculturally. Such a shame that years later, close to 60 years later after independence, we cannot even feed our own population. So I wanted to ask General, when we finally take over, the dust has settled, how we can organize land as a factor of production, both agriculturally and industrially, so that we give incentives to the massive brain drain of intellectuals that are far away from our motherland, and then they can come back to our country to help in the nation rebuilding of our country. There are so many corporations probably that own land. There are so many private individuals that own land. Do we go to appropriation of land without compensation, or do we compensate for every person through buying willing buyers that have gotten land through buying a willing buyer, willing seller basis? And how do is it become owned by the state, so that once the land has been owned by the state, then it can be designated for residents, and the remaining parcel can be set aside for industrial and agricultural production? And what incentives do we give to intellectuals that have been brain drained away from our motherland? There's a study that says, I saw for Nigerians, that in Washington, D.C., the medical doctors that are in Washington of Nigerian descent are way more above than the total number of medical doctors that are in the whole of Nigeria as a state, as a federal state. So what incentives do we give to our intellectuals to come back home to help in the rebuilding, the likes of Marge that are in Germany, Hillary in the US, Elvis in London, and all that?
So I want to be very, very clear. No question is uncomfortable, because I think these are legitimate questions. All questions are legitimate. There is no question which is illegitimate. But I want to be crystal clear. We are not prescribing solutions for everything on this space. We are simply giving the way forward for what has to happen now. Now, the details will have to be worked out by the transitional authority and the citizens of Kenya. That's the way it should be. It has to be carefully thought through, and the solutions have to come. But one thing I will say must happen. This one, I will bet my everything on. We must create a merit-based society. That's one. We cannot have a society where Sudi, who never finished even primary school, a criminal, Kibet Farouk, and many other goons are billionaires when people who went to school and got their PhDs, people who have graduated with their degrees, legitimate ones, and millions of them, people who are creative, people who are innovative, people who are resourceful, entrepreneurs, hardworking workers cannot make a living. That is an unjust society. That is an unequitable society. That's a society that is rotten. That is a failed state, which is what we have now. So we have to create a merit-based society. And by merit, it has to be from top to bottom. The issue of land, as I said, I have proposed an independent investigative authority to investigate all questionable land allocations and acquisitions, corruption scandals, and allegations of all institutions and individuals that have been involved in state capture and corruption. And those who have been involved or implicated in political assassinations from 1963 to the present, which means that the majority of the land, the size of provinces that are held in a few hands of the Mois, of the Kenyatas, of the Rutos, of all these oligarchs that don't even use the land that they have stolen for productive purposes, will now vest on the people. State equals the people. Government equals people. So when we say the people, that's what we mean. When we say government, that's what we should mean. When we say state, that's what we should mean. So which means that land as a factor of production will be a reality. Because people will not keep land for speculative purposes. People will not hoard land. People will not grab land. People will not steal land. Titles will be vested on those who have acquired them legitimately, legally. And so it will be a foregone conclusion. Employment is very, very important. You can't have 65% of people unemployed and you are taxing everybody to death, including the unemployed, which is what Ruto is doing. So I don't want to be prescriptive in terms of being micro on everything. But I think we should be at the global level, at the big picture level of the transformative, what Nkrumah called the superstructure. How do we reorganize? How do we transform our political structure so that everything else flowing from it, be it economics, be it social services, be it transportation, be it infrastructure, be it education, be it healthcare, be it whatever, all these things will be done. The doctors who have just trained, the medical doctors who graduated and they have refused to pay, first of all, to complete their internship and to pay as agreed to many years ago through their union, 200 and something thousand, they are paying them 70, they have offered 70,000, and their unions have been bought. These things will have to be addressed. The teachers who graduated from teaching school, teaching training institutions, including universities, and can't be employed. All these things will have to be addressed because when you have merit, you will only hire people who are qualified, who are going to add value. Not the same way that people like Moses Kuria wake up one day and hire criminals, he himself being a criminal. And he hired the other criminal who was just acquitted because of intervention from State House as a communications director in a ministry without the job being advertised, without people going through interviews. It's a unilateral decision. It's a one-man rulership, which is not constitutional and not democratic. I said, and I still say today, if you have 1 million people on the street or more, let's say 10 million, Ruto will go before you can open your eyes. He will be in Washington, D.C. He will get a private jet or whatever. He will run so fast that you would not even know how he left. So really, it is so simple. I don't know why people don't get it. You get 1 million plus people on the street and Ruto is history. Just the same way they ran away so fast from parliament and we didn't even have 10,000 in parliament buildings. Not even 10,000. And they were gone. These people are so weak. People don't just realize how weak they were. There was a man called Ceausescu, okay, in Eastern Europe. He was a president. He used to be so brutal. And he was thumbing his nose on people until people showed up on the street and literally tore him into pieces with their bare hands, with his wife. It is so simple, my friend. He will not be able. Look, Mugabe was in power for more than 30 years, maybe 40 years, close to 50, and went overnight because 1 million people showed up on Harare streets. Compaore, who killed Sankara, the great revolutionary leader, was gone in Burkina Faso within 2 minutes with less than 1 million people on the street. In Philippines, Marcos was 100 times more powerful than Ruto and closest to the US 1 million times more than Ruto, and was gone within a day. So no, the formula is there for people, for students of revolution and students of history. And I'm talking about popular, peaceful revolution. These people did not get arms. In Philippines, they didn't have arms. In Zimbabwe, they didn't have arms. In Burkina Faso, they didn't have arms. They simply did it on the street. The military will join you once they realize that this is too powerful. As you have seen, the people even prefer the military right now because they are not extorting them. And when they do, they take 500 instead of 1,000, which the police are taking. Essentially, the police who are brutal, who have killed people, who have run away, who cannot stand even 100,000 people in the CBD, will not be there when 1 million people show up. And the military will join the people. And the military cannot turn against the people when the people are so much that you cannot do anything. They will join the people and they will help in the transition. I had said all of them go home, the entire regime, so that we can transform the state. A state that was set up by the colonialists in Berlin in 1884. It was not set up for Africans. So that is how you get rid of Ruto. You don't even have to reach State House. But when you do, if you do, it would be gone. So you will just be swimming in the swimming pool like they were doing in Sri Lanka just a year or so ago. So that's how it happens all over the world. That's number one. Number two, if Ruto were to resign, things will fall apart. This is the red herring. This is the scarecrow that they are throwing. Aren't there chaos in Kenya as we are speaking? There are a lot of people that will tell you that when you go to Osoro's house and you find 54 employment letters from the TSC, for example, that did not go through the TSC, that Osoro simply writes himself in his house. People that Sudi just hires from his house, for example. Isn't that the definition of chaos? Isn't shooting a teenager in Rongai, they killed a 14-year-old. Is that not the definition of chaos? Is the definition of chaos not when you have a former major in the military who already retired, having a AK-47 in a suit, shooting at people, or that police officer in plain clothes who just turned and shot into the crowd without any provocation, people who were not even shouting at him? Isn't chaos what we saw today when they abducted Keter on the street, or when they killed our heroes, whom we have already buried, and those who are in the hospital? That's what chaos is. So chaos has been happening since independence. Kenyatta's regime was full of chaos. Moi's regime was chaos. Kibaki was chaos, and Uhuru was chaos, and Moi, and this is chaos. And the succeeding one, if you don't remove it, will be chaotic. Chaos is the definition of a neo-colonial state which claims that its legitimacy is not given by the people, but by Washington, D.C., who listens to IMF and World Bank more than they listen to the citizens, who care more about money that they are stealing than services they are providing. If you look at Ruto's manifesto, the bottom up, all that rubbish, none of it has been implemented. So, no, things will not fall apart. Because even in this space, we don't know each other, we have never met, and we are not chaotic. How come we can organize a space, and there have been many, and they are not chaotic, and somebody is telling you that if he was not in power, which is abusing and looting and killing you, that you are not capable of organizing yourself? How can we have so much low self-esteem that we think we are not capable? And yet the people who are saying they are capable have half of your qualifications, half of your experiences, half of your intelligence, half of your ability, and they are not even interested to work. So no, things will not fall apart. Now, I go to the issue of accountability, and I was asked about the blockchain technology as a mechanism of holding elections. There is nothing unconstitutional about using technology. As a matter of fact, the Constitution says we should use technology. The more secure it is, the better. So blockchain technology right now is the most secure technology. So if it can preserve our sovereignty, if it can protect our democratic exercise, the exercise of our choice, if it can stop them from stealing elections and fiddling, then it is the best. Then we should be able to use it. So no, there is nothing unconstitutional about using blockchain technology. And blockchain technology does not mean that you don't cast your ballot, because not everybody has access to a phone, not everybody has access to a computer. And in Kenya, if you allow people to vote through these electronic means without them appearing somewhere, Itumbi and his group and the crooks will sit in a room and they will vote 10 million times. We can't allow that either. So we have to think about these things and be able to implement them. But these are the things I call the details, which will be worked out. What do we do if we are abducted? Because I've been abducted more than once. Moi abducted me on November 14th, 1987, and detained me at Nyayo House, and I came out alive, and I'm still here. And I never joined KANU. I'm one of the people who never joined KANU, never asked to work for the government, even though it is everybody's right. All you need to do, number one, if you are involved in a struggle, do not fear death. If you fear death, do not be involved in a struggle. That's number one. Meaning that fear is the fertilizer for tyranny, for autocracy, for misrule, for abuse of power, for impunity. Fear is what Ruto is thriving on. Fear is what he hopes will infiltrate the movement and render it impotent so that he can survive. We cannot allow that. So that's number one. Number two, when they come and they abduct you, be defiant throughout. Don't cower, don't cooperate, don't answer any questions, because they simply need an entry point. And if they get that entry point, you're finished. If they ask you for your phone, give them. Let them do whatever they want with it. You can always buy a new one. But there is nothing they can get on those phones anyway. If they want to charge you, let them charge you. Go to court. You see, this is why they couldn't take me to court. They knew I didn't fear them. They knew they had not extracted anything from me, and they knew they could not prove anything they had alleged. So what do? You take the person, put him in a plane, and claim that he is not a Kenyan. I was born in Kenya, went to school throughout my life in Kenya, and was forced into exile just like I was forced into exile when they took me out. But no, they wanted to rewrite my own history. History everybody knew. I was with Ruto at the university. Rigiji was ahead of me. Ruto was 1 year behind me. They know me very well. They could not claim that I was not a Kenyan, but they did. All right? So you must be defiant. You must be fearless. You must not cooperate, because anything you tell them will be used against you. You cannot help them. If they want to kill you, you cannot stop it anyway. So tell them, go ahead and kill me, which is what I told them. Go ahead. If that was why you took me, go ahead and kill me. And they are so cowardly, they couldn't even do it. And what I'm saying is that I basically showed them that I didn't fear them, that I was not afraid of death. And when they were forcing me into the plane, I fought my way. And the first day, they couldn't even put me into the plane. I mean, what I'm saying is that they had to sedate me physically to be able to take me out of Kenya. That is the kind of defiance that will defeat them. Because up to now, they have nothing on me, and they cannot do anything against me. And they cannot capture my brain, right? So fear is the thing. And the reason why they are abducting people is not even to torture them. They did that to Ndii in 2017, not to torture him, to recruit him. And they did, so that he could infiltrate NRM, which he did, and then use them to get information, which they did. And that's why he works at State House today. And they have done that to some of the people they have abducted, even in this revolution, even from the Gen Zs. So I'm telling you, be alert, be vigilant. Not everybody who has been abducted will come out on our side. Not everybody who pretends to be on your side is on your side. Some of them are extracting information and relaying it directly. Some of them are being paid. Some of them will be brought in to become agent provocateurs, so that they make you make mistakes. Mistakes the state can use against us. Reckless things, for example. Indiscipline, for example. Lack of focus, for example. Opportunism, for example. All these things are some of the reasons why people are being abducted, and to recruit them as agents. So the people they have not broken, the people they have not infiltrated, the people they have not bribed, the people they have not recruited, they will never be able to hire, they will never be able to use, they will never be able to do anything against either. And those are the people that will lead us to liberation. Next, a vote of no confidence. The vote of no confidence happened on the street already, and Ruto knows that. Kenyans don't want him. Kenyans have already said they don't like him. Mudavadi recognized that when he said that a rejection of Finance Bill 2024 means a vote of no confidence. So there is already a vote of no confidence. It does not have to happen in parliament. It has happened on the streets. How do we recall MPs? This is redundant, because the moment you dissolve the government, there are no MPs. The moment you dissolve the government, there are no senators, there are no governors, there are no MCAs, there are no ministers, and there is no executive. We are back to square one. We hold fresh elections through the authority that I told you I am suggesting. The National Transitional Authority, NTA, composed of voluntary professionals from 54 nationalities or ethnic groups, from both gender, from all generations. You have to have what the Afghani calls almost like Alura Jiga or Jigra. It's a big tent. It's a big tent of everybody, of people who are progressive, who are radical, who want complete change, not compromised people. And then organize a new election. The IEBC will be reset within 2 weeks. And then I have referred you to a paper that Dr. Kobe wrote when she fled from Kenya in 2017 about what has to be done in terms of the IBC. You cannot let the IBC be reset or reconstituted using the same state, the same regime, the same president, he will simply put people that he can control. And then we would have lost it completely. When you go to that thing, that paper that I've already posted on my Twitter handle, pages, I believe it is 7, no, let me see. I have put the page numbers there that you're supposed to look at. And I believe it is 7 to 12, page 7 to 12 of that paper. The next one, root of threats. I agree. The Ruto that was speaking, that called everybody criminals, is the real Ruto, is the one that is abducting. And it is a Ruto that has not learned his lessons. A very weak one, but a very lethal one. And unless you remove him today, we can as well all say that we have lost everything and there was no need for the protest. So which means we have to hold the mother of all protests that he has ever seen. And then it will be history. Thank you.